Evening all, welcome to the laser session. Right, we're gonna, well, this is a rekindling again. I know I've shown you some laser footage before, but gosh damn it, if it's just not so much fun, we're gonna show you it again. Now, a lot of this is unedited. There's a reason for that because, well, not a lot happens from the laserer's point of view. Now I'm going to show you as to why that is the case. It's fascinating. When you edit, right, one of the things you're kind of trying to do is remove the bilge, the filler, things like hacking, things like the death screen. Yeah, it's not terribly interesting. And what you want to do is try and increase and focus on what's interesting in terms of the game. And in Dust, it's all usually about kills and, you know, shooting and all that good stuff. But when you're using a laser, I find that the laser is a great weapon for getting assists, but very few kills. Okay, even when I ran this, when the laser was very good, I still would only get, I think, a dozen kills maximum. That would be like a good day. But you would get always a huge amount of assists, and I think this is an interesting thing because that's kind of the way it is still. Because people are brick tanking generally, because damage mods are now kind of pants. What you're finding is people are taking that a little bit more to kill. So while I get a hit on that guy, he then immediately is able to duck in. And that's quite a fascinating situation, because the reality is that most people, as soon as they take any damage, they hide. It takes a very special player to take damage and just stand there, if you know what I mean. And that's obviously, they're rare and few and far between. So the laser is just always going to have that issue of always being a gun that generally, I think, points and prods people. And Judge put this well last night, actually, when he was using his laser. It's a mistake maker. And I totally agree with his comments, because that's exactly what it is. As I start shooting that dude, he starts panicking, because obviously he's taking damage. So he blunders into a blue, and then he's kind of on the back foot, because he's been startled, effectively. This is a startling mechanic that you're seeing here. So I think that's kind of the negative side of the laser, if you like, is that it is such a difficult gun to get damage on, or rather kills on, because you've got to really be lucky and keep the pointer on them for quite a while. I would, however, say the positive side of lasers is they're actually quite good with mouse and keyboard, which is unusual because most of the guns in this game aren't. If you can use a mouse and keyboard, and you can use a mouse rather and point, so if you're actually able to double click on your first try generally, then you're going to find that laser rifle's pretty good for you. Because it's just about pointing that dot on somebody, so your hand-eye coordination is pretty easy, really, when you think about it. But mouse isn't for all, and I think if you're going to use controller, then obviously you do get aim assist on this, but only at certain ranges do you get the benefit of aim assist. So I think bear that in mind. It's always going to be a difficult gun, I think, generally. It's not a pro gun. It's not an elitist's gun. It's not a rail rifle. It's not a combat rifle. It is a rifle there for players who really, I think, want to play as a team. And that's going to, let me back that wild statement up. Because it is a gun that I think, you push people with that, as Judge said, that is that mechanic that pushes people around the map, makes them make mistakes, makes them break cover, or whatever it may be. And then they blunder into another thing. So you need to have a pretty strong team with you to deal with what you then create as that error. I think it's also something, if you run in a gang, we did this last night, and we ran, I think it was 4 lasers in one tight group. Now that seemed to work, because obviously having 4 lasers meant we could insta-jib people, but this is probably the slowest gun in terms of its TTK over time, okay? Unless you get a hit continually on, it will probably kill faster than any gun out there. But in terms of the way that generally the way this works is they strafe, they move, they jump, they duck, they do stupid things, but it means that your laser hit on them is broken, so you'll be like hit, strafe, hit, strafe, hit, strafe. So you'll get 3 hits. Now, as the laser obviously warms up, it's then doing more damage over time. And then, unfortunately, you do have that mechanic of it overheating, which I think is an interesting one. I would love to see the heat mechanic on every gun in this game. I really would. I think it would be hilarious, because again, it would be nice to see, heavy machine guns obviously have this as well, and that's really nice. But I don't think many other guns do. Post in the comments if I got that wrong. If you fire an assault rifle, you can keep firing it over and over and over, and it never overheats, because you reload before you naturally then overheat. So, that might be a nice thing to have, is heat build up over magazines, and so on. I think maybe this is maybe I've just never noticed it. I'm sure it's not, but I would be interested to see people's thoughts on this. I personally would be interested in the mechanics of what that would come. So if I was running my Flaylock, for example, and I go 1, 2, 3, then I switch guns, 1, 2, 3, then I switch back and reload, 1, 2, 3. Does that mean that I'm then dangerously close to overheating, so then it could jam? And then that would be a nice mechanic, wouldn't it? Jamming guns. I'd love to see that. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, I think there's a lot of good stuff coming through. The laser rifle is not the easiest thing to use. I think it is again, maybe that's a good test for you, is if you've never used it, see if you can get good at it and see how you get on, because there are some people in the game who are phenomenally good with it. And it just takes practice. That's all it is. It's just a thing of practice. But I've got to admit, I'm quite enamored with it, and I always have been, because to me, I guess I like the weird guns. I kind of get a bit bored of the whole assault rifle bollocks. Rare rifles and combat rifles and assault rifles are all a bit the same. Scrambler rifle's quite different when you think about it, because that's obviously got a nice charge mechanic, and I'm only talking about the charge one here. The other one is the same as the others. I know you have to have them because a lot of people don't have any interest or consideration about the finer points of this game. They just want to get in the best suit and run the best gun and kill, because hey, that's where you get your rewards in life, right? In a game. See what I did there? Don't do that, by the way. But I think it's interesting that a lot of people, they just run assault rifle, and particularly when the game came out, everybody ran Caldari assault with the assault rifle. Then all of a sudden a few more guns came in, and it was Caldari Logi maybe, and then the rail rifle, or then all of a sudden now the combat rifle. And there's nothing wrong with this. Again, people think I'm having a go at everything all the time. No, far from it. But I think there's so many interesting exotic weapons out there that make the game much more than its constituent components. Much better than the Battlefield 4 guns, much better than Call of Duty bollocks. It's all sci-fi guns. And PlanetSide 2 suffered from this as well. Suffers from this, if I may be so bold, because they're quite boring guns. None of the guns in PlanetSide 2 interest me in the slightest. Because they all feel like they're made from, Tonka toys. They're all feeling a bit plastic. And they're just a bit generally uninteresting. Whereas the laser rifle, the scrambler rifle with the ability to charge the shot, that's a nice touch in it. The Flaylock, that's a pretty nice gun as well. The concept of it. The mass driver is kind of a grenade launcher. The forge gun's a fantastic idea. The heavy machine gun is also pretty nice as well, because it's not an M60, belt-fed machine gun like you get in Call of Duty. It's a minigun, and that's sweet. That I think they've really done a great job in the sci-fi nature of this game. And this is why I find it heartily amusing that so many people love the combat rifle, because, quote, it's like, I don't know, a real-life gun, is it an AR-12? I don't know guns. I'm from Britain, we don't have guns here. But it's like the assault rifle that somebody uses in some army, And I was always quite surprised, actually, that was why it was so popular, because it's like they want to use Earth technology in the future. I don't know. But to me, it's interesting. I think, post in the comments, tell me what your favourite guns are. Tell me what you have an interest in. Personally, I've always enjoyed the guns that have that unusual characteristic to it. So the laser rifle was fun because it was a laser rifle. Can you imagine this in the battlefield today? It would be amazing. It would be such a powerful gun. And remember, way back in the day when, again, a lot of people reminisce, let's not forget that. And people remember how good guns in this game used to be. And the laser rifle at one point, with Sharpshooter 5, with the ability to really shoot from a distance, look at that ragdoll, with the ability to shoot over the distance the laser rifle used to, it was an amazing gun. It was just so much fun. Sadly today we have barely the range that was even close to that gun, and I think just generally people run fits that are very strafey. Most of the kind of very veteran players are running mouse and keyboard, so it would appear, and their strafing capability is extreme. So the laser rifle is still a troubled gun in its operation, but certainly not in terms of its capability. It doesn't need a buff or a nerf anymore. It's a good gun now. But I think you're just not going to see the people coming through that actually choose it as their primary gun. Because if you want to win at this game, and let's face it, that's what most people want to do, you have to run an assault rifle, a scrambler rifle, or a rare rifle, or a combat rifle. Sad times. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.